What is up, everybody? It is Drew Traveler Liberty Abyss here with another video, and I've had a lot of people ask me since I uploaded my top 4 case tournament Swordsoul deck profile if I would upload a combo video. I'm gonna do the best to guide you through some of the basic combos. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. I'm not using the exact same list from when I played in the top 4 because that was a few weeks ago, but it doesn't matter. The combos are all pretty much the same. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into this. All right, so starting with like the most basic bare bones combo, we have opening just Emergence. So if you open just Emergence, you activate it to grab a copy of Taya to your hand, and then you normal the Taya, and Taya's effect banishes the Emergence to summon a token. Now, if you're going second, you could have this reduce the level to make a Yazi, but we're assuming we're going first. So from here, we just synchro, and we make a Chizhao. Now, Chizhao to search can be Chainlink 1, and Taya can be Chainlink 2. I didn't pull anything out of the deck to dump off of Taya specifically, but I mean, send one of your Tenyi monsters if you'd like. I'm not going to show that right now, but you do get the send, and it chain blocks this from getting hit with Ash, and you can add your copy of Blackout, and then you set Blackout, and then you just pass. So you're going to have a negation by banishing the Taya, and then you'll be able to pop 2 of your opponent's cards with the Blackout. It's not fantastic, but like I said, if you just open Emergence, that's what you get to. You could also just make any level 8 that you want to make, so yeah, that's always an option. There are variations of this that kind of change things up and make it obviously different. If you open up like another like worm card, then obviously it changes things. So yeah, that's combo number 1. All right, second combo, we open up a copy of Moyi and another worm or Swordsoul monster. Doesn't really matter which one. This is another pretty basic combo. You normal your Moyi. Moyi's effect will reveal Shathana or whatever you have. You'll make a token. At this point, we're going to synchro for 8 and make a Chizhao. Your Chizhao will be Chainlink 1 and your Moyi will be Chainlink 2. So you'll draw a random card, and then you'll get your search off of Chizhao, which will grab you Long Yuan. Then you're going to activate your Long Yuan, discarding your worm or Swordsoul card, whatever the extra that you had to start was, to summon itself and a token. At this point, you can go for a Synchro 10. So the Long Yuan and the token go away, and you get to choose if you want to make Sinister, if you want to make your Supreme, if you want to go for Baron, if you want to go for Gamir, whatever level 10 you're playing. In this instance, let's just make a Baron. So Baron hits the board, and then Long Yuan will burn your opponent for 1200. So you've basically set up an Omni negate and a monster negate, which is pretty good. Like, that's not terrible. And you get to draw a card off of it too. Keep in mind that's just off of 2 cards. So you will have 3 other cards in your opening hand, which is pretty important. But yeah, that's combo number 2. Combo number 3 is an Anti-nibiru combo. You need to open up a Moyi, or well, you have to open up either one of these and away to the other. So you have to open up a Long Yuan and, you know, like an Emergence, or a Moyi in an Emergence, to get both of these in hand. And you have to have another worm or Swordsoul card in your hand. What you're going to do is you're going to normal Moyi, and you're going to use Moyi's effect to reveal the Shathana and get a token. And then you'll activate your Long Yuan, discarding the other worm or Swordsoul card, summon itself and a token. So now you've summoned 4 monsters. Your 5th summon is going to be using the nib, or I'm sorry, to avoid the nib, by using the Baron. So the Baron is the 5th summon. They get burnt for 12. If your opponent tries to nib here, you can negate it. And then after that, you can synchro level 8. Usually Chizhao, and then Chizhao 1, Moyi 2. You just draw a random card, and then you search for the Blackout off of the Chizhao. And then you can set this, and then you can pass. So once again, we have an Omni negate, a monster negate, and we have a pop 2, which is pretty cool. So that's obviously fantastic. That's combo number 3, one of the anti-nib combos. Okay, so combo number 4 that I have for you is opening Emergence and like a random worm monster, as long as it's not like Moyi or something. But you go Emergence effect, to grab yourself a copy of Taya. This goes to grave. You normal Taya, and you use the effect of banishing your Emergence to get a token. Then you're going to Synchro for level 8. Ooh, wrong card. You make your Baxia here. And then you're going to get the effect of Taya to dump a Moyi. And then you're going to use Baxia, popping itself to summon the Moyi. Moyi effect will reveal Shithana to get a token. Then we Synchro these two for level 8, which gets us into Chijiao. Chijiao 1, Moyi 2, we get to draw a card, and then Moyi searches for a Long Yuan. And then we activate our Long Yuan, pitching Shithana, summon it out with a token. And then we're going to go ahead and Synchro summon here for a 10. Once again, we'll just assume Baron, and then Long Yuan will burn for 1200. So that's that combo. So I've got a Tenyi combo for you now. Let's say you open up Ashina and either Vishuddha or Adhara. It can be either one. It doesn't matter which one, but you need the Ashina and one of these two. So we're going to put the Vishuddha back for now, and we'll get back to it in a second. So you're going to special summon your Ashina, and then you're going to link it for a copy of Monk. And then you're going to special your Adhara, and then you'll use your Ashina effect to summon whatever's missing. So if you had the Adhara, you summon the Vishuddha. If you had the Vishuddha, you summon the Adhara, so on and so forth. From here, we can Synchro summon for a Chijiao. Chijiao effect will allow us to search for Moyi, and then we can use our Adhara, banishing itself from the graveyard, to add back our Ashina. Now we normal summon Moyi, and we get the effect, revealing our Ashina to get a token. And we are locked into worms here, so you have the option of making a Baxia, which doesn't really make any sense. So your best option is to go for Draco Berserker. So you go ahead and use Synchro for Draco Berserker, and then your Moyi effect triggers to draw you a random card. So that's actually a really good combo. It gives you a negation, a banish, and you'll have 2 cards in hand at the minimum. Obviously you'll have more than that because it's a 2-card combo, so you should still have 5 cards in hand, which essentially nets you a +3 because you have 3 more cards in total than what you started with. So that's a pretty cool combo in my opinion. So if there's one combo that I really want to show off, it's something that I had come up a lot when I was playing in the case tournament, and that was opening Moyi plus Heavenly Circle or Dragon Circle and Worm, Tenyi, whatever, it didn't really matter. But this came up a lot, so I'd normal Moyi and reveal whatever I have to reveal, and my opponent will go Imperm or Veiler, and then that's the point where you chain Circle. So you tribute the Moyi to search for Shithana. This card's super important, like really, really important. And then because your Moyi was taken off the field, it dodges the Veiler or Imperm, so you still get the token, which is really good. And because you don't control effect monsters, you can special the Shithana, which is crazy. And then you get the Synchro summon for a Chijiao. And then Chijiao searches your Long Yuan, and then you Long Yuan pitch to summon itself and the token. And then once again, you can Synchro for a Baron. And then your opponent takes 1200 from the Long Yuan. So that came up a lot. That's the anti-imperm / Veiler combo. I think that's really, really important. That came up a lot. There is also a point that I want to point out here, where before you make the Baron, you have a Long Yuan and a token. If you know they're not like on Nibiru, like a lot of Kashtira players aren't playing Nibiru because they can't afford to. Not because they can't literally afford it, but because it kind of counteracts their strategy. At this point, you can always banish your Ashina and summon a Tenyi, and then you could link it for a Monk if you wanted to, which isn't a terrible thing. But in this scenario, I'm not showing that. That is something else you can do. If you do that, you most likely would summon Adhara, and then you would, let me just pull this out of here so you can actually see it. So you'd summon like Adhara, and then you'd link this for Monk, and then you would Synchro these. Now you're locked into worms, so you can't make Baron, but if they're not on Nib, it doesn't matter. You make your Sovereign or your Supreme, whichever one, and then you banish your Adhara to add back Ashina. This is also really good because if your opponent beats over the Monk, you can banish the Shithana from grave to summon the monk back and pop, on top of having like 2 banishes with burn capability and a monster effect negation. So yeah, that came up a lot. I thought that was really important, so I figured I'd showcase that as well. So this combo is also another way to kind of play around nib, or at least bait your opponent into using their nib. So what you're going to do is you're going to need an Emergence or a Taya, either one, doesn't really matter. But you need Emergence or Taya, Ashina, and once again, either a Vishuddha or an Adhara, either one. We'll just put the Vishuddha back for now like we did prior. So you special the Ashina, you link it for a monk, then you special Adhara, then you're going to use the Ashina to summon whatever you're missing, whether it's the Vishuddha or the Adhara, either one, and then you're going to synchro these for a copy of Baxia, and then you'll Baxia effect popping the monk to summon back the Adhara. Now at this point, you're going to synchro the Adhara and the Baxia unless they nib you, because if they see this on board, they kind of have to nib you at this point if they want to like be able to use their nib. But you're going to synchro these off for a copy of Chaofeng, so now they can't nib you. And if you're playing against Drytron, it's just an auto win because they're not playing around that. And then you go Emergence, and then your Emergence grabs you your Taya. And keep in mind, you have not normal summoned yet. You're locked into worms for the extra deck stuff, but you haven't normaled yet. So you normal the Taya. Taya effect, you can banish the Baxia if you want, doesn't really matter. But you banish the Baxia and you summon a token. Now because you control a non-effect monster, you can use Adhara to add back the Ashina, which is really good. And then you synchro summon here for a copy of Chizhao. Chizhao, and you can chain Taya. Once again, I didn't pull anything out of here for the Taya, but you can do it. Whatever you want to dump, like it does chain block this, so let's just assume just for ha-has that we dump a Moyi. I know it's not the right choice, but just for the sake of the video, that way you could at least see that you're dumping something. You dump a card, and then your search resolves to grab, oh I'm sorry, that should not be there. You search for your Long Yuan off of your Chizhao, and then you can Long Yuan, discard Ashina to summon itself and a token. And then you can synchro for a Sovereign or a Supreme. Those are the 2 worms that we play in this scenario. So it depends on what your opponent is on. Obviously, that dictates a lot, but let's just assume that we make the Sovereign just for sake of argument. So yeah, now your opponent takes 1200 from the Long Yuan, and that's your ending combo. So they're locked out of lights, you have a monster negation, and you're going to be able to banish their stuff, which is crazy. And you'll burn them on top of it, on top of what you already burned them for. So you're probably going to run them low on life, which is fantastic. It's obviously something that you want to do, that way they can't really play the game. But yeah, that's another really important combo that kind of helps you play through nib. It at least forces them to nib you at a certain point, and if they don't, then like you just combo off. And like I said, it's also an anti-Drytron combo, so that's also important to note. Now let's say you open up a hand like this. It looks a little awkward to anyone who's been paying attention to the video so far, because you're like, all right, I don't really have anything in grave. I could special the Shithana and then link for a monk and normal the Taya, which is a valid thing. Or we could do something else. Now, as I've stated before, if you're playing against Kashtira, I wouldn't worry about Nibiru as much. I would focus on making, you know, stuff that's not Baron on turn 1. But I obviously understand that you can make Baron with what I'm doing. For this particular line, I'm not going to show that though. So you're going to start off by activating your Long Yuan, discarding your Shithana. So these are just 2 cards that are useless for us in our hand, but we're assuming that they're in our opening 5. So we get the Long Yuan and a token, and then you're going to synchro these for a copy of Sovereign. The reason we make this is it's going to help us a lot with our hand. So we're going to normal Taya effect, banish the Long Yuan. Let me move this in frame so you could actually see it. That'd be helpful, right? So you banish the Long Yuan to get a token. Now at this point, you can go ahead and synchro for a copy of Qizhao. You can get Qizhao 1, Taya 2, Sovereign 3, so you get to draw a card, you get to dump a card, and you get to search for a card, which will be your blackout. So now what you have is you can set the blackout. You're going to have a monster negate, you're going to have banishes off of the Sovereign, and you're going to have 2 pops with the blackout, which is really, really good, on top of having 3 other cards in your hand, probably hand traps or something like that. So yeah, that's, in my opinion, important to know, because it looks like an odd hand, but basically it's Long Yuan, Taya, and a useless worm. That, you know, it isn't really doing much for you. So yeah, that's pretty important to note, but that's just an oddball combo that I figured I'd at least talk about. All right, everybody, I hope this video was helpful and you learned how to do some Swordsoul combos. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that you can cover with this deck. Most of them, really, I mean, the Ecclesia, this isn't like, you know, a combo thing, but like the Ecclesia can get you to Moyis, it can get you to Tayas, all that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. That's something you can do. I didn't show any combos off with it because it's really just another copy of Moyi or Ecclesia, so I didn't feel the need to discuss it. But I think that covers the basics for learning the deck and figuring out combo lines with it. I think that should provide you at least with enough information to take this deck to your locals, give it a spin, see how you like it, and hopefully, you know, you fall in love with Swordsoul and you enjoy playing it. I really think it's one of the best decks this format. I genuinely would put it in the top 5 decks right now. I think that statistic is not only backed up by representation and tops, but I also think that the dueling book data right now would probably represent that as well. If I remember correctly, I believe this deck has like the 3rd most representation on dueling book, 3rd or 4th, which is really good. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this and it was useful. Like I said before, I'm glad to provide content like this, and if it helps you out, it helps you out. There's probably a bunch of combos that I didn't show off, but I felt like what I covered was more than thorough enough for you to really get started learning this deck. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome content like the video you just watched. And for right now, this has been Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, and I am signing out.